First, I'd like to welcome my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to this important hearing on examining GAO's findings on efforts to improve oversight of minority-serving institutions. I want to commend and recognize some of our colleagues on the Education and Labor Committee for their leadership in advancing the Student Aid and Fiscal Responsibility Act, known as SAFRA, enacted as part of the Healthcare and Education Reconciliation Act of 2010. Since last fall, I've had the pleasure of working closely with Representatives Bobby Scott, Raul Grijalva, Dale Kildee, David Wu, as well as other members of the Congressional Tri-Caucus to ensure that SAFRA included targeted funding for Title III and Title V institutions. I want to thank GAO for the release of their report examining GAO's findings on efforts to improve oversight of low-income students and minority-serving institutions. As many of you know, I have fought vigorously to increase federal resources to MSIs throughout my tenure in Congress. Historically, black colleges and universities, known as HBCUs, and Hispanic-serving institutions, known as HSIs, as well as tribal colleges and universities, and Alaska Native serving institutions or Native Hawaiian serving institutions, and predominantly black institutions, as well as Asian American and Native American Pacific Islander serving institutions and Native American serving non-tribal institutions, are an invaluable segment of our nation's higher education system. Each year, they ensure access and affordability to millions of minority and low-income students and workers. Over the past 15 years or so, we have made significant strides in addressing the funding gap for these institutions. On March the 30th, President Obama signed the Healthcare and Education Reconciliation Act of 2010, providing $2.55 billion for Title III and Title V institutions. And this is the largest investment ever in HBCUs and MSIs. At this time, I wish to acknowledge HBCUs for the tremendous job they have done in educating a large portion of our nation's African American students. HBCUs prepare exceptional leaders in the fields of medicine, in law, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, teaching, and other areas where minority students continue to be underrepresented. According to the State of America's Black Colleges, HBCUs graduate 40% of all African American students receiving a four-year STEM degree and 50% of African American teachers. HBCUs play an extremely vital role in our nation's higher education system and serve as role models for other institutions of higher learning. We have also made substantial progress in supporting and developing the capacity of Hispanic-serving institutions known as HSIs. According to Excelencia in Education, a nonprofit organization which promotes success for Latinos in higher ed, HSIs enroll approximately half of all Latino undergraduates in the United States. In 1995, HSIs received an appropriation of only $12 million. That was the first time that they were funded. They were one of a number of institutions receiving funding under Title III. Then, in 1998, we were successful in creating a separate title for HSIs to underscore the importance of these institutions to our nation's growing Latino community. In fiscal year 2010, the Developing Hispanic Serving Institutions program received an appropriation of $117 million, and the Promoting Post-Baccalaureate Opportunities, our newly created graduate program for HSIs, received an appropriation of $22 million. I'm very proud of what our committee has been able to accomplish for all of our institutions of higher learning. And as we build on our successes and set goals for the next decade, it's imperative that we have stronger mechanisms to monitor these federal programs. We must have increased accountability and work with the United States Department of Education to improve annual monitoring and reporting requirements. Our students deserve the very best, and our institutions must provide exemplary leadership in managing these resources effectively. To achieve President Obama's goal of leading the world in college graduates by 2020, we must ensure that MSIs are doing their part to increase persistence, retention, and completion rates for all students. Based on the findings of the GAO report, 4 institutions used grant funds improperly, and that is a serious concern for me and for our committee. The GAO report is a great starting point for today's hearing, and I hope that we can have a robust discussion and learn more about these issues from our distinguished witnesses.